So it's my pleasure to introduce you, and it's my privilege to introduce our State Treasurer, Robert Sprague.
It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I got to tell you, Jerry Serino is a great senator, and he does a great job of representing your interests. He does that because he's a good man. And I liked him before I got here. I even like him more now that I met Rose, okay? And I found out that Rose is running for the school board to try to make sure that they've got values for these kids and that they're teaching them the right thing. If you have 4 children, Rose, you go get them. You're endorsed by the Treasurer's Office. All right? I want to thank Scott and Kathy Fischel. Kathy, I'll tell you, this kind of got off the ground. We were just having coffee over at Linda's place. And Scott said, well, Robert, what are you doing? And I said, well, we're having some of these events about issue 1. We gotta win this thing. And about the abortion issue in November, he said, we want to do one. And so this is really because of all of your hard work. Kathy, thank you so very much. Scott, thank you for bringing us together today. We really appreciate it. And my friend Jack Boyle is here as well. Where's Jack? Jack, thank you for helping us pull this together. Jack is with the Ohio Right to Life Action Coalition. He does a fantastic job, and he's a personal friend and a true conservative. Thank you. Let me tell you, this guy Josh Williams, how about this guy? And his lovely wife Nair, who actually drove all the way from Toledo. I was just telling her that my wife would never drive 2 hours with me to be at a political event, but I'm going to tell her that this is the new standard. All right. So thank you for being here tonight. So I'm from Findlay, Ohio, over near Toledo, about 45 minutes south of Toledo. My wife Amanda and I live there with our 5 children. And I know when I say that I have 5 children, what you're thinking of me, being up here in Lake County and being near Cleveland. But no, we're not Catholic. Just very active Protestants. But I'll tell you, we go to church at Gateway Church, and I believe in the 10 Commandments. And the Lord has told us, you shall not kill. Never again will life and death be on the ballot in the state of Ohio as it is this fall. These elections are important. They're not just important because they're about our Constitution or they're about some law. It's because it's about who we are as a people and who we are as a state. So I want to start off and I want to tell you very briefly that what Josh Williams told you about this ballot language that they're going to run in November is true. And I want to take you to the backstory behind this ballot language. The ACLU and Planned Parenthood have raised $35 million from wealthy donors in New York and California to run this amendment into our Constitution here in the state of Ohio. After they get done with Ohio, this ballot cycle, do you know what they're going to do next? They're going to run this same language in 11 other states in the United States.
That's right.
What this ballot language does, and it's scary stuff, it says the state shall not interfere. And in particular it says that if in the professional judgment of the treating physician, the abortion is necessary for the life or health of the pregnant individual, it is allowed under Ohio's Constitution. Let me break down how this language works. The treating physician is who? The abortion doctor at Planned Parenthood. Says that it's necessary for the pregnant individual. Who's the pregnant individual?
Anyone.
Anyone of any age, including a minor, is necessary for the pregnant individual's life or health. We know what life means. How is health defined in the courts? It's the woman's psychological health, emotional health, financial health, familial health of the woman's age. So what this language does in a Midwestern state, Ohio, the heart of it all, in very middle-class communities, would put into our Constitution that if the abortion of Planned Parenthood determines in their professional judgment that it's necessary for the woman's emotional health, they can justify an abortion up to the point of birth for that child. These are fully formed babies. I was at University Hospital today. I was touring the neonatal unit. We went in there, and there's this tiny little baby, and I remember, like, when all 5 of ours came, I don't know if anybody else has this experience as dad, but I remember holding, we have 4 boys, and then a little girl. She runs the place. I don't know why that. I can remember holding my oldest son as a young dad and thinking, there is no way that there is something this small that is this perfect. These are fully formed babies in the womb in the 3rd trimester, capable of feeling pain. They have beating hearts. They are viable outside the womb. Only 19% of Americans even support abortion in the 3rd trimester, and they are attempting to write it into our founding document. Let me tell you, we have 5 children. So I told you about Mary Hannah. She brings up the rear. She's in 6th grade this year. Right now, at St. Mike's School, I have to write a note as her father for Mary Hannah to have aspirin dispensed to her at school. Only through my permission can my child have medication dispensed. Under this constitutional amendment, as her parent, Mary Hannah can get dispensed contraceptives at school from the school nurse without me knowing about it and without my permission or her mother's. My son Tate right now, if you haven't noticed, we're a little bit vertically challenged in terms of the Sprague family, right? So he's trying to make the basketball team. I don't know how this is going to go. He's a freshman this year. You know what it's like to be a freshman. Remember that in high school? You're trying to be well-liked. You're trying to fit in, right? You're insecure. Tate could go to the school nurse, and the school nurse could refer him to a doctor in Findlay, Ohio. It says, Tate, if you're struggling with your gender, I can help you change this. There's clinical science that says that it's okay for you to be a girl, and he could have gender-changing surgery that will permanently sterilize my son Tate without my permission. But more importantly, the Ohio Constitution would bar me as his father from being able to stop it.
Dad.
What happens when this happens to your kids? When the school counselor and the doctor get to make the decision about what your child is doing instead of you. That's what's at stake
Terrible.
in November.
That alone.
Never again will life and death be on the ballot in the state of Ohio. So let's talk just very briefly. I was with Savannah Martin. Josh and I were with Savannah. We're talking with some pastors. Savannah said, Robert, she said, I don't appreciate the way you talk about abortion sometimes. I said, well, why is that? She said, because she said, I run a pregnancy resource center for pregnant mothers. And we have our office right outside the abortion clinic for Planned Parenthood. And she said, Robert, she said, I've never had a mother come into my clinic and regret having her baby. But I have a line of women who are coming into my clinic because they regret having an abortion. And I said, well, what's wrong with the way I'm talking about it? She said, because, Robert, you never talk about hope and healing for a woman or a man who's been a part of an abortion. She said, that's the gospel story. And you need to talk about it because we run a whole practice to try to help find closure and healing and hope for those individuals. So today I just want to say, if you've been involved in an abortion or you've had an abortion, there's hope for you, there's healing through you, through Jesus Christ.
Amen.
You know, I'm kind of amazed that the opposite side seems to be winning. I mean, I understand they have the media on their side. I understand that they have $35 million, but we have God and babies on our side, right? So let me tell you a true story about a young mom in Northwest Ohio. Her name is Kelly. So we have 4 boys and then a little girl. Kelly has 3 boys, and they decide to adopt a 4th child, a little girl. And after that adoption, the adoption agency comes to her and they say, Kelly, would you please share your testimony at a clinic that we're having for young mothers that are thinking about giving their babies up for adoption? And Kelly says, sure. So she goes one night and she shares her witness and her story. And after the event, a young mom of about 20 comes up to Kelly. And Kelly told me, she said, Robert, she said, something inside of me told me that I had to help this young girl. It wasn't about the child that was inside her. She said, I knew it wasn't about the baby. I had to help her. I had to help her. And so she said, I got her number, and she said, I knew I was supposed to do it. I called her up, and the next day I took her for coffee. And she told me that she had already had 2 other abortions, and that she was not planning on keeping this 3rd child. But she said, I knew I wasn't supposed to give up. So I called her the next day and I invited her out to lunch. And the following day, I helped her with a repair for her car. And in the process of doing that, she said, I invited her to church, and she started to attend church with us on Sunday mornings and our family. Fast forward 6 months, and Kelly's with her family getting ready for church in the morning, and they get a call from the hospital, which was not unusual because her husband's a physician. But what the hospital said was very unusual. They said, your baby is ready to be picked up. And Kelly's confused. She doesn't know what's going on. She all of a sudden connects it. It's the baby of this young mother that she has been trying to help and mentor. So she texted her. She said, what's going on? Why is the hospital calling me about the baby? Is the baby hurt? And the young mother texts her back, and she says, no. She says, you don't understand. There was a reason that I met you. I want you to be the mother of my little girl. I signed over my rights. I signed over my rights to you this morning. And the hospital told Kelly, you have 12 hours to make the decision if you want to keep this child. And Kelly said yes. And she said, Robert, she said, I want to tell you about this little girl. She's 8 years old now. She's the one at school that all the girls want to be best friends with. She's the most beautiful child, inside and out. Inside and out. She said, it's not because we're great parents. It's just the way that God made her. Her mother didn't want her, but we did, and so she had a chance at life. You know, we so quickly forget that these are human lives that are at stake, and the beauty and the wonder of these children. So when we talk about the Ohio Constitution, our founding document should not be modified by anybody that comes into our state from outside of Ohio with $35 million and can get a bare majority of Ohioans to vote for it. You know why I think that? Because I figure if you're coming into my state as someone that was born in the Buckeye State and is raising my family here, I don't need you to spend $35 million to tell me what I'm missing in my Constitution.
Amen.
Right.
As a matter of fact, if you're spending $35 million to convince me to modify my Constitution, I'm pretty sure that that benefits you and not me.
Right.
The Ohio Constitution only takes 50% to modify. The United States Constitution, what does it take to modify it? 2/3 vote of both houses. When was the last time the House and the Senate agreed on anything? Much less 2/3 of anything, right? And then 3/4 of the state legislatures have to approve the change to the United States Constitution. And I don't know about you, but I feel like the United States Constitution has done a pretty good job of preserving my rights as an American citizen and running the United States of America government. And in case you think that that's not good enough, even if you look at these other states, of the 32 states don't even allow special interests or citizens to put initiative petitions to amend their constitutions. They don't even allow it. Of the 18 states that do, like us, half of them have already woken up to this, and they've changed the limits. They've increased the limits. Colorado's not exactly a red state, right? Colorado, 55% to change the Constitution. Florida, 60% to change their Constitution. I just saw the insurance commissioner from New Hampshire, and I asked him, I said, live free or die, right? Is that a real thing in your state? He said, oh yeah, we take that seriously. Like, what do you mean? He said, we don't even require people to buy car insurance in New Hampshire. I was like, what? He said, yeah, he said we have the highest insurance rate in the country for car insurance. 66% to change the Constitution in New Hampshire. At the end of the day, one of the constitutional principles is that the things in our Constitution should be the things that broadly we all agree on, not the things that only a small majority of us agree on. They are the principles that unite us, not the issues that divide us. Those are the things that belong in the Ohio Constitution. And so August 8th is important because it raises the threshold for constitutional amendments to from 50% to 60%. And let me say one last thing as I close. Josh mentioned it, and he's 100% right. And Jerry mentioned it. This is going to be a low turnout election. What are we looking at in terms of turnout for this?
It could be single digits.
I think I heard 8%. 8% turnout for this August election. If we get our vote out, we win. This is a turnout election, ladies and gentlemen. I know from running state rep races that if you get out and you knock doors, and the amount of time, quite frankly, that we've all been here tonight, you could have knocked on nearly all the doors in your precinct. And by the way, these are not difficult conversations that you have to have with anybody. We're not trying to convince anybody to vote our way. We're just trying to get the people that already believe what we believe to get out and vote, right? The amount of time that it took us here tonight, you could have walked an entire precinct. And if you walked your precinct and you knock on the doors, I tell you the truth, you will move the votes in your precinct by a minimum of 5 percentage points. In this election, that could be the margin of victory or the margin of defeat. So as you go here tonight, I ask that you do pray for Ohio. I ask that you pray for Ohio mothers. And most of all, I ask that you pray that God raises his mighty hand in the defense of the innocent here in the state of Ohio. Thank you, and God bless you.